At 3 a.m., a message came in from my wife's father. By 3:07, my phone screen glowed in the dark. "We know you invested $570,900 to save our company, but you're not welcome at the investors' party." I stared at it for a moment. A message from the same man whose business had been mere weeks from bankruptcy before I wired over the money. I didn't argue. I didn't ask for an explanation. I simply typed "noted." That was the night they stopped being my family. 5 years earlier I'd first met Claire. She was radiant, magnetic, the sort of woman who could make you forget exhaustion, even after a 16-hour shift. Her family owned a luxury textile empire, a brand older than the nation itself, built on generations of privilege. When they met me, they were polite, even curious, but beneath it all was that quiet undertone: outsider. I wasn't from their world. My wealth was self-made. My tailored suits bought after my first million, not passed down through inheritance. Still, when Claire and I married, I believed we had bridged that divide. I thought I'd earned my place at their table. The cracks appeared slowly. Claire became distant. Phone calls I wasn't allowed to interrupt. Secretive smiles at messages she wouldn't explain. And her father always reminded me the company was a family matter. Then one night her brother called, panic in his voice. The business was drowning. They needed cash immediately. I didn't hesitate. That night, I wired $570,900. No contract. No repayment terms. I told myself it was for Claire. For us. But their gratitude faded fast. Within weeks, Claire's father began making major decisions without even mentioning them to me. Decisions in areas my money had saved. At dinners, I was treated as an afterthought. My suggestions were brushed aside. And then came that 3 a.m. text. As if I were some intern being told not to bother showing up. That was the turning point. My emotions cooled into calculation. No shouting. No confrontation. Just planning. For 3 weeks, I combed through every document, transaction, and investment I'd been involved in. Then I remembered, when I bailed them out, I hadn't handed them cash directly. I'd bought into their debt through a holding company I owned. Quietly, I expanded my position, buying more of their outstanding debt from secondary creditors at a discount. Bit by bit, I became the majority holder. They were too distracted preparing for their grand investors' party to notice. On the morning of the event, I put on my sharpest navy suit, not to attend, but to walk into the bank at 9 a.m. and file foreclosure notices on their key assets. Warehouses, machinery, trademarks. All collateral tied to the debt I now controlled. By 2 p.m., legal notices had arrived at their corporate headquarters. I was no longer their savior. I was their largest creditor, with full authority to seize control. That evening, while they sipped champagne under chandeliers, I waited. At 8:43 p.m., my phone rang. Claire's father. "Why am I hearing we've been locked out of our main facility?" I answered calmly. "Because it belongs to me now." Silence. Then disbelief. "You can't do this." "I already have." I ended the call before he could start pleading. The real showdown came the next morning. Claire looked at me like I was a stranger. "You destroyed my family." "No," I said. "I just stopped letting them destroy me." I slid a folder across the table. Inside were divorce papers already signed, and beside them a check for her half of our liquid assets. Clean break. No arguments. "You can keep the jewelry," I added. "It'll match your father's stories about how he lost everything." In the weeks that followed, I didn't boast. No cryptic social media posts. I simply rebranded the company under my holding group, brought in new leadership, and kept the skilled employees. Her family tried to spin their version, claimed I'd betrayed them. But word travels faster than official statements. Investors knew. The city knew. By the time the truth made the rounds, they had become a joke. Invitations vanished. Partnerships dissolved. Here's what I learned. People who take you for granted expect either your fury or your silence. They never anticipate your precision. And the most devastating revenge isn't yelling when you're wronged. It's letting them hear nothing but the sound of their own collapse.